friends, it's me, Ellen, your crazy baker chick, with another sort of a recipe. So a few months ago, I don't know how long, maybe even a year ago, I created a recipe for soft pretzels, followed shortly thereafter by pretzel buns. And today we're going to do a little variation on that. Let me turn this cooktop down. So there's a little story that goes along with this. A few months ago, my husband was in the grocery store and he bought Hawaiian pretzel bites. He opened the package, ate a couple, and went, "Well, these aren't very good." And we kind of forgot about it. I don't think he even finished the package. And so months later, I don't know what made him think about it. Maybe he saw a TV ad or maybe it just popped into his head. A few days ago, he said, "Yeah, those Hawaiian bites, they weren't very good, those pretzel bites." And I got this, well, I have a Hawaiian bread recipe. My Hawaiian bread recipe is pretty killer. If you haven't tried it yet, you should. In fact, you should do it today, and then you can make partly of this variation. So my Hawaiian bread recipe, I will link you to below. But what we're going to do today is sort of a sideways maneuver. As always, how to find the recipe. If you're looking at the video on whatever screen you're looking at, whether it's your phone, your tablet, your computer, below the recipe on YouTube, there's always a description. But sometimes you have to expand it by clicking the word more. That's depending on your browser and your device. Once you expand the recipe, you'll see a blue PDF link, or a link that takes you to a PDF, I should say, recipe, and you will see the whole recipe written out. Okay? You can also go to my website, ellensbreadmachinerecipes.com, super easy, and go to my website, and there's a search bar. You'll find it. It's very simple. Put in Hawaiian or HAW. You only have to put in 3 or 4 letters, and the recipe will pop up, and you kind of have to slide to the left to get to that recipe. For today, I've made the dough already. I'm not going to do the whole thing in front of you. So today we're going to make Hawaiian pretzel bites. We tried it the other day, put it in our mouths. We're like, "Oh my goodness, these are really good." And then I gave some to a friend and she was, "Oh my God, this is so good." And I even gave it to another person on the bus behind us. We were heading to Disneyland. And she heard this lady behind us, heard my friend and I talking about it, and she had to try one and they loved it, so it's a success. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to make all this dough into pretzel bites because it will just take too long. So I'm just going to cut it in half, cut my recipe in half. I'm going to somewhat sloppily cut these into rolls. Not weighing them to make them equal or anything like that. I'm just going to throw them in this pan in a messy order because I'm trying to hurry, and I'm going to put them in my oven to proof for 45 minutes, and then I'll bake them when that happens. So that will take 45 minutes. So I'm proofing half the dough, making it into rolls. If you have a big family, make the whole thing into pretzel bites. But I'm just not doing that for today. So I'm going to then cut the remainder of my dough. I've got to turn down that burner. Well, actually, while I'm over here, I'm all prepared. I have a pot full of boiling water. Something got in there. I don't know what that is. We'll fish it out. Boiling water with baking soda, 45 grams of baking soda. If you're doing only about half the dough, smaller pot. If you're going to make the whole recipe pretzel bites, you're going to need a bigger pot, or just do it in smaller batches. I'm also going to need melted butter, kosher salt, and a prepared baking sheet. So I'm going to pop this butter into the microwave to melt. And we're going to come back over to the island. And I'm going to finish preparing my dough. If you ever have questions, there is an email address for me on the website. So we're going to roll this into ropes, and do you see how I'm sort of doing a butterfly thing? That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to cut these into pretzel bites. So I'm going to make them maybe, I don't know, what is that, about 1.5 inches? So sort of up to you, but just knowing that the bigger you make them, the baking time may be a little longer. And again, I am not trying to make them all perfectly equal. I'm not weighing them like I probably should. So now we're going to need that melted butter. Ta-da! Well, a few seconds more. But what I can do in the meantime is pop some of these into the water. And again, the water has baking soda in it, and that's what's going to give that sort of pretzel-y flavor. So I'm going to very carefully pop those in. Don't want to burn myself. Hey Siri, set a timer for 30 seconds. So
30 seconds, counting down.
Give those little pieces of dough. It's still not all the way melted. So we're going to boil these for 30 seconds. We're going to give them a lovely little melted butter bath. Then we're going to put them on the baking sheet. There's no final rise, by the way. And actually, that's the 30 seconds. So we're going to do one little batch in front of you. Then I'm going to turn the camera off and finish because you don't need to watch me do batch after batch after batch. All right, so I'm going to now put one at a time on the cookie sheet. And the thing I love about this recipe in particular is that the Hawaiian dough is sweet. Now, it's not dessert sweet. These are not going to taste like donuts, but your pretzel bites are going to be sort of sweet and salty. All right. And then when I have them all on the tray, I will put the kosher salt and we'll have turned the camera back on by then. Kosher salt. So as you can see, half of the dough makes a lot. I have not counted them, but I don't know, what is about 30 of them or more? If you have like 5 kids or something, you may want to do the whole thing. Anyway, I'm not very controlled at sprinkling because this has a sprinkle function, but I'm just going to pour some in my hand a little at a time and do this. And of course, some people like a lot of salt. Some people won't want any salt because you're watching your salt intake, which is completely understandable. So you do the salt the way it is what you want or need. I like salt. I also drink a ton of water, so I think it flushes it out. Again, you do not have to put salt on. You could also choose to bake these first and, you know, put some butter in them later. I'm just gonna put this over here on the spoon rest. Okay. All right. I have my oven heating to 350 degrees. There's no rising. So when my oven heats up, it's almost there. I'm gonna put these in to bake. I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. They may not be done by 15 minutes, but I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. Last time I made about half this amount. I made them in my countertop Breville oven, and I thought they were only gonna take 10 or 11 minutes, but they were not done at 11 minutes. So I added 4 more minutes. So that was about 15 minutes. So I think they will take about 15 minutes, but everybody's oven will vary. And also we're going to use the thermometer to check to make sure they have reached 200 degrees. So when the oven heats, which will be any time, I'll pop them in, I'll set a timer for 15 minutes, and then I'll show you what's going on. So while the pretzel rolls are baking, I wanted to let you know that you could be really creative with this. If you wanted them to be not salty, just sweet, you could add nothing. You could skip the butter. You could use an egg wash. You could use the butter and sprinkle turbinado sugar. I'm not sure about cinnamon sugar because, as you know, the Hawaiian bread recipe has pineapple juice in it. I don't know. That's up to you. But you could leave them plain. I mean, you could do anything you want. I always tell you that you have all these options of which, you could do this. So anyway, but it's the easiest thing in the world. You make your Hawaiian bread dough. You give it maybe a 10-minute rest or something like that. Use some of it for rolls if you don't want to be making like 3 trays worth of these little pretzel bites, but of course that's up to you. About 10 minutes before my dough is going to be done, I get the pot with the boiling water and the 45 grams if you're using a small pot, or double that if you're using a big pot, just like my pretzel, like soft pretzels. And get it boiling and then turn it down. You don't want it rolling boil, but just more like a steam. I'm trying to think what else. But the possibilities are absolutely endless. So enjoy yourself. And they are baking. At 15 minutes, they looked beautiful and brown like this, but they were not done on the inside. They were only at 164 degrees. So I tented them with a big piece of foil. Ta-da, literally just laid a sheet right on top of them and gave it another 5 minutes, and then they were perfect. It's a little hot for me to show you the inside and taste yet, so I will turn this back on in about 5 minutes when they're cool. So I'm taking this video by myself, but I can show you the inside, and they taste just kind of like how you would think they would. They definitely taste pretzel-y. You can see on the outside how they have that nice sort of caramel color, and the inside is fluffy but also substantial, and it tastes basically sweet and salty from the kosher salt. Absolutely delicious. I hope you make them. Let me know if you do.